Alrighty guys, so today you're going to be doing an assignment on plant tissues, and I have it set up so that it will be in a Google Doc for you. It should be attached and it should open right up in its own window. It's a 55-point assignment, so it is pretty intense, and all of the answers are going to come from those notes that we went over yesterday. If you didn't get the notes from yesterday, make sure you click on the modules tab here. It's going to bring you up to all the modules. You'll want to go to the day before today, and you'll see a little link there that says plant tissues. The slides are in there in a PDF form as well as a video, so you can use both of those. So anyhow, your assignment when you open it up will look like this, and it's going to start off with true and false. And again, you're going to recognize a lot of the terms from yesterday. So make sure you are familiar, at least in part, a little bit, with those notes. I'm going to go through it with you as well. I'm not going to write on the Google Doc simply because then I'll have to go through and delete all my answers before you guys go in and do it. So we'll just go through and we'll talk about what the answers would be. So an organ is a structure made up of only one type of tissue. That one is going to be true. Organs are composed of tissues or a group of tissues that are all going for a similar function there. Number 2, a tissue is made up of a group of cells that have the same job. That one is true. Number 3, instead of having a plasma membrane, plants have a cell wall. That is false. They actually have both. They have both a cell wall and a plasma membrane. Plant cells are prokaryotic. That's also false because they are eukaryotic, like us. The main function of plastids is to maintain pressure against the cell wall. That is a false question there. The main function of a plastid is actually involved in photosynthesis. The vacuole would be the function for the pressure against the cell wall. A plant's central vacuole is typically large. That is true. Plants do have a very large vacuole. Number 7, the plant cell wall is located just inside the plant's plasma membrane. That one is false. It is actually located outside of the plasma membrane. It protects it. Number 8, plant cells contain both cellulose and lignin. That one is going to be a true one. You do. Number 9, some types of parenchymal cells are photosynthetic cells. That is true. Cell walls of sclerenchyma are very thick. They are, so that is true. Xylem and phloem are types of dermal tissue. That one is going to be false. They are types of vascular tissue. 12. The plant cuticle protects and waterproofs the above-ground parts of the plant. That is true. Most plants grow only during a very short period of their lifetime. That one is kind of a difficult one because plants go through periods of dormancy depending on the type of plant that it is. So I could see you saying, that is true. They only grow during a short period of their lifetime. I could also see it being false depending on, what you believe to be a short period. I went with true on that one, though. Number 14, cell division decreases the number of cells in a plant. That is false. It increases them. And 15, meristem is made of differentiated cells. That one is also false. It's undifferentiated. All right, so as we move on down here, we have a little reading and it's followed by some open-ended questions. So let's go ahead and read through here. Plant tissues. All 3 types of plant cells are found on most plant tissues. 3 major types of plant tissues are dermal, ground, and vascular. Dermal tissues. Dermal tissue covers the outside of a plant in a single layer of cells called the epidermis. You can think of the epidermis as the plant's skin. It mediates most of the interactions between a plant and its environment. Epidermal cells secrete a waxy substance called cuticle, which coats, waterproofs, and protects the above-ground parts of a plant. Cuticle helps prevent water loss, abrasions, infections, and damage from toxins. Ground tissue makes up much of the interior of a plant and carries out basic metabolic functions. Ground tissue and stems provide support and may store food or water. Ground tissue and roots may also store food. Vascular tissue. Vascular tissue runs through the ground tissue inside a plant. It consists of xylem and phloem, which transports fluids. Xylem and phloem are packaged together in bundles. So here's our 5 questions. Our first one, define the term tissue as used in this passage. So I have plant cells that have a similar function. That is what a tissue is. What is a plant's epidermis and what is its function? So you would find that under the dermal tissue paragraph. It is the outside of a plant and it mediates interactions between the plant and its environment. Number 3, describe the functions of ground tissue. It has metabolic functions, so it's mainly for support. It also does food and water storage. Number 4 was an interesting one. It said, why are xylem and phloem bundled together? So when I first read that, I assumed that it was asking for the function of the xylem and the phloem, which we can read is for transporting fluids around. So I put that they're bundled together because they have a similar function. And do you think that all plants have these 3 types of tissues? Why or why not? Well, we know from our study of plants so far that not all plants have vascular tissue. So I put down no, and it strongly depends on the environment that the plant's living in as to whether or not they have these tissues. Okay. Moving on, we have some multiple choice questions. So number 1, which of the following types of cells would be best at storing food for the plant? The correct answer there would be A, parenchymal. Number 2, the organelle that maintains pressure against the cell wall so that the plant cell keeps its shape is the central vacuole. That is A. I'm going to hop over here since we can see these 2 questions. So number 5, xylem and phloem are C, vascular tissue. And 6, the meristem consists of undifferentiated cells. C again. Back to number 3, a membrane-bound organelle that contains DNA is the chloroplast, C. The plant cuticle is made up of epidermal cells, that is D. Plant roots can grow to become wider through division in the cell meristems, down here. And when a single cell divides once by mitosis, the product is going to be B, 2 cells. Next, we have some vocab. And they do give you a word bank down there below. So you're going to be using this word bank for both the terms in part 1 and part 2, which is right below. You'll use some of the terms more than once. So number 1, a waterproof barrier between the above ground parts of a plant and its environment. That is going to be F, the cuticle. Number 2, loosely packed cube-shaped cells. That is going to be J, the parenchyma. Functions in the transport of water. That is L, vascular tissue. Ciliary strings are made up of this type of cell. That is going to be E, the collenchyma. Comprises much of the interior of a root, stem, or leaf. That is going to be I believe G, the dermal tissue. Wait, no, that's K. Sorry. K is sclerenchyma. Contains chlorophyll, conducts photosynthesis, that is C, the chloroplast. Has lignin-containing thick cell walls. That one will go with G, the dermal tissue. Blank is made up of epidural cells. That's going to be A, the cell wall. A large membrane-bound, water-filled organelle that maintains a positive pressure against the plant cell wall. That one is B, central vacuole. 10 consists of undifferentiated dividing cells, that is I, the meristem. A membrane-bound pigment-containing organelle, that's going to be a chromoplast, D. And the last one, a cellulose-containing structure that covers the plant plasma membrane. Would be the only one we have left here. Which that one should be A, actually. If we go back up to number 8, epidermal tissue. We're going to go with G for 8, and H for 7. So 7 is H, 8 is G. Sorry about the confusion there. I confused myself on that one. We're going to reuse those same letters again for the next 12. And hopefully it goes a little bit smoother. So the blank contains chlorophyll. That is going to be C, the chloroplast. A membrane-bound organelle that contains pigments other than chlorophyll is D, the chromoplast. The blank contains dividing undifferentiated cells. That's I, the meristem. Blank consists of loosely packed cells with thin cell walls. That is J, the parenchyma. Tissue that makes up most of the plant's interior is going to be H, the ground tissue. The epidermis makes up the G, dermal tissue. The blank provides support for part of the plant cell for the entire plant. That's A, the cell wall. The blank contains xylem and phloem. That is vascular tissue, L. The blank contains thick lignified cells. That is going to be K, the sclerenchyma. The water-filled membrane-bound central vacuole occupies the majority of the space inside a mature plant cell. That's B. 11, blank helps support the plant, provides wind resistance. Its cells have irregularly thickened walls. E, the collenchyma. And the plant's cuticle, F, protects the plant against water loss, toxins, abrasions, and infections. Last is a critical writing question, and it says you want to thoroughly answer the questions below. This one right here. Use appropriate academic vocabulary and clear and complete sentences. So you want to try to use some of the terms that we just talked about in the vocab section. And the question is, humans grow to a certain height and then do not grow any taller. Do plants grow in the same way? Do plants get taller? Please explain. In order to answer this question, you want to go into the slides and you want to look specifically at slides 3 through 6, and that will really help you to determine whether or not plants get taller in the same way that humans grow. Just a hint here, the answer is no, we don't grow in the same manner. So take that and expand on it, please. I'm going to leave you guys to do that last one on your own, and I will catch you later.